So I'd like to start this off by saying I haven't watched the race yesterday. I haven't in a while, but I still keep up. Just been surfing people's opinions online. And yesterday's race, it seems that there just hasn't been a lot of passing with the road courses with the next gen car because with the wider tires, the bigger brakes, the overall inspiration from Australian supercars. Of course, that makes it a better road course racer. But here's the thing with road course racing in NASCAR. Road course racing was such a treat because you watch drivers manhandle glorified muscle cars around chicanes, S's, sweeping right-handers. I know it's a stereotype to say that NASCAR only turns left, but like part of what makes road courses so fun is that the cars are literally built to turn left. The tire alignment, the tire sizes, everything. So challenging them to do the opposite is part of what makes it fun because there's a lot of room for error and made the races chaotic, but in a good way. Not in like a 2021 Circuit of the Americas. That wasn't like how every race was, but it was less, but still made it for a very entertaining show compared to something like F1, V8 supercars, IndyCar. They're more made for road course racing, so of course the action is comparatively less there, right? But with this, it seems like also adding the aero, like diffuser and different stuff, that's just messed up the racing. So I'm just hoping that the short track aero package and whatever else they're gonna try, just hope that fixes things because it doesn't sound like it. Yesterday's race was very entertaining. Also, if it only went for 20 or 2 hours, that doesn't mean there's a lot of cautions, not a lot of people messing up from what I hear. So that's I don't think that's good. I don't think it's a better look for the sport than having in the 2021 as your road course every race, but this is also just gonna turn people off from road course racing. So yeah, go figure. You build a car for tackling left and right turns, and this is what you get. But nonetheless, William Byron, yet another Hendrick driver seeming to quote unquote dominate the year. The past few years it seemed like that, which not the biggest fan of, but still, you have to admit, William Byron, he's been very good this year. William Byron's definitely one of the contenders for championship, I'd say, along with Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr. Maybe, actually, no, Denny Hamlin, he's also turned it up recently as well. That's the interesting part. Denny Hamlin has absolutely been lights out ever since, that Pocono win. He's just been turning it up. He's now second in the standings, 39 points back. Going to Daytona, it's not likely that he'll get the regular season championship, in my eyes at least, but he could. So there's that to look out for. That should be fun. Also, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, 6th and 7th in the points. I don't know if anybody had that as a preseason prediction. I certainly didn't. I'm sure more people would have thought that Kyle Grayson would have done better than Roush this year, but there's that. So yeah, props to those guys. Kyle Busch, he's kind of, I don't want to say falling off the face of the earth, but a lot of bad momentum recently, and I feel like even though he had a 14th, that's much better than what he was getting before. He was on track for top 10 before he got, a little bit messed up with his race result, but still a little bit of a way to stop the bleeding. Ross Chastain, I feel like nobody's mentioned Ross Chastain in such a long time because, honestly, he's just been very mid-lane recently, as well as Trackhouse. I feel like SVG's win this year has almost covered up Trackhouse's struggles a little bit, which kind of sucks because Ross Chastain is definitely a very fun guy to watch when he's up to his antics. But yeah, seems like he's been a little bit out of the picture. Now, the playoffs. Bubba Wallace is currently in the last spot, and Ty Gibbs is behind him by 32. I don't think the points matter, honestly, unless Bubba gets wrecked early and the others just can navigate all the different wrecks to just barely scrape out over Bubba. I think we have our playoff field set, but I mean, I could be wrong. Any of these, blah blah blah, Daytona, anybody can win, blah blah blah. But you know what I mean. It's well, it'll be an interesting race on Saturday. I'm more interested in seeing who gets the regular season championship and how many more bonus points can some guys like William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. get out. Those guys have definitely been top two this year. I feel like they've been kind of, well, looking at the stats, not kind of been like on a different level from everybody else, but they've led 200 more laps than anybody else, and in the next gen, that's quite a bit compared to how it would be with the Gen 6. So it's just interesting to see how that would play out. It's a shame that we don't have a full season point standings, because seeing them battle. Also, if William Byron didn't have a points penalty, that would make the full season point standings even more interesting, but I digress. Truex could actually end up being the #1 seed, as he's only behind by 1 playoff point, so that could be interesting. But I'd assume that he'll try and just ride around. Maybe he'll contend for a stage win to see if he try and maximize bonus points, but I'm not too sure. William Byron's also been pretty strong on the restrictor plates this year, so who knows, maybe he'll win. Hope I don't jinx it into existence, because that would be a shame. Although I've also seen a lot of comparisons between William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. both having like boring wins. Can't really speak for that myself. I just know that I remember watching the Atlanta race when the rain cut it short. That was not really a boring race. That was more of a dang, Hendrick won kind of race. But yeah, I digress. Should be an interesting race going to Daytona. Just seeing who's gonna come out on top between Truex or Byron, maybe even Hamlin. Who knows, with the most playoff points, and then who's gonna get that last playoff spot? My money's on Bubba Wallace. Yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know.